All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, in 2011, defensive end J.J. Watt came to the National Football League as part of a group of first rounders that burst onto the scene and made an impact. We saw Watt be selected that year in the first round by the Houston Texans, and he recorded 5.5 sacks as a rookie while helping the Texans win their first division title in franchise history, as well as earning their first trip ever to the postseason. But in Watt's second year in the NFL, he would become a household name as he recorded 20.5 sacks, which resulted in him getting his first of three NFL Defensive Player of the Year awards. Now, by the end of the 2015 season, Watt was a three-time Defensive Player of the Year, and his 64 and a half career sacks to that point had him on the fast track to Canton. But then the dreaded injury bug arrived, and over three of the next four seasons, Watt's years were cut short due to injuries, most notably a herniated disc, which required back surgery in 2016. However, Watt would trudge through and return to form. And you think about it, he got 16 sacks in 2018, which led to him finishing second that year in the comeback player of the year balloting. And although that he was able to show flashes, he was just never fully the same player that he was during his first 5 years with the Texans. The last 2 years, Watt has been doing it for the Arizona Cardinals. And after only tallying one sack in 2021, Watt has returned to form with 10.5 sacks this season. But just as we've all seen Watt return to form, and you thought he might look to continue his NFL career, maybe with another team in pursuit of winning the Super Bowl, he announced his retirement 2 days before Christmas. Now, Watt is 33 years of age, and clearly he has shown that he still has something in the tank. But your health comes first. And you think back to earlier this season when Watt's heart had to be shocked back into rhythm. If that's not an eye opener, I don't know what is. On top of that, JJ Watt is a dad now, and his priorities have shifted, and rightfully so. And you think about Watt now having a family, and you think about the heart issue, and then the previous injuries that put him on the sideline, and then having the rehab. And when you have injuries like that, the rehab hours are so long and so strenuous trying to get back to that form. Watt is looking at the next chapter in his life, and I don't blame him one single iota. He's got his priorities to take care of, he's got his family. You know what? Salute to him, for doing that. And you think about this guy right now as he enters his final game tomorrow against the San Francisco 49ers. 112 and a half career sacks, excuse me, which is currently 25th in the league. And just to put something in context, because I talked about him coming from a loaded draft class, just the pass rushers alone in round one from 2011, Von Miller, who went second overall to Denver, Cam Jordan was in that first round draft class and he went to New Orleans. Robert Quinn, who has bounced around, but he has more than 100 sacks. Ryan Kerrigan went to Washington in the first round that year. Cam Hayward was also a first rounder. And then you throw in Justin Houston, who had a quality career and has had a quality career for him as far as rushing the passer. And then Chandler Jones coming in 2012. And then if you want to go back 1 year to 2010, you think about what Carlos Dunlap is still doing, and then what JPP has done during his NFL career. And you just think about that 2011 first round draft class as a whole. I'm going to get back to the defensive side, but just running down some names and just giving you an idea of how deep that draft class was. Cam Newton, first overall. Von Miller, second. AJ Green, fourth to Cincinnati that year. Patrick Peterson, fifth. Julio Jones, sixth. Tyron Smith, ninth. J.J. Watt, 11th. Robert Quinn was 14th. Mike Pouncey, 15th. Ryan Kerrigan was 16th. And then you go down to Cam Jordan at 24. Mark Ingram, the running back, went 28th overall to New Orleans. Muhammad Wilkerson, who did have a solid start to his career with the Jets, at number 30. And then, as I mentioned, Cam Hayward going number 31 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a lot of talent right there in one round. And you look at a guy like Watt, as he has, made a name for himself during his illustrious NFL career. You think about the 112 and a half career sacks that he has so far, and let's see if he can add to that list tomorrow in Santa Clara. But nonetheless, he is the only player to have multiple 20 sack seasons since the sack became an official stat in the NFL in 1982. And you think about some of the great players that have had 20 sack seasons in the NFL. He's the only guy that has done it twice. And then prior to the sack becoming an official stat in 1982, the late great Deacon Jones did it 3 times. So that just gives you an idea of how difficult that it is to do. 2017 Walter Payton Man of the Year. And this guy is definitely going to end up in Canton. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think, and I'm not trying to sound like a hater, I'm just being realistic. I think the only thing that could prevent JJ Watt from being a first ballot Hall of Famer is just due to the fact of the logjam, the current logjam that we're seeing right now at in regards to players as far as being able to rush the passer, whether it's defensive ends, outside linebackers, or D tackles. Granted, D tackles historically don't get the numbers like defensive ends and outside linebackers do. But again, just mentioning the guys who were drafted in the first round with J.J. Watt, Von Miller. Obviously, I think Von Miller is going to continue his career. I know he's injured right now for the Bills, not playing for the rest of the year, but nonetheless, he's not going to be there at the same time, as J.J. Watt when it comes to eligibility. But then, you think about some of those other guys, Cam Jordan and Cam Hayward, just to mention a few. They look like they're going to keep playing as well. But then you look at some guys who have similar overall numbers to J.J. Watt, who aren't in as of yet. Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis, Simeon Rice. These are guys that really played in this era. Then, veteran guys such as John Abraham and Leslie O'Neal, who have also put up quality numbers as well. And that is not in any way, shape, or form a slight to J.J. Watt. It's just the fact of there's a lot of guys out there who have been doing it for a long time as far as rushing the passer that just haven't gotten in. I know Julius Peppers has not played since 2018, but I don't foresee any situation where J. Pep does not have to wait that long to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The only guys that have more career sacks than Julius Peppers are Bruce Smith, Reggie White, and Kevin Green. And then, of course, Terrell Suggs. T. Sizzle hasn't played since 2019, 139 career sacks. DeMarcus Ware might get the nod this year as far as getting to Canton. But nonetheless, you think about J.J. Watt. I mean, this guy, he was somebody that you always had to account for because not only his ability to rush the passer, his ability to disrupt things, because you think at 6'5" with that long wingspan, he could get those long arms up there, bat balls down. He was known to have a couple of interceptions, forced fumbles. JJ Watt was a disruptor, and that is what you want out of your great defenders in the front seven. And he just did it for so many years to so many quarterbacks on the AFC side. And of course, now he's finishing things off in the NFC. So I think Watt is one of those guys that the game will definitely remember for his ability to rush the passer. You think about some of the greats that have done it over the years: Reggie White, Bruce Smith, Kevin Green, Lawrence Taylor, Jason Taylor. I can just keep going right down the list. JJ Watt is definitely going to be a guy that will be remembered. One final game for him tomorrow. I would not be surprised to see him try to go out with a bang. I know the game is in San Francisco. It would surprise me if the 49ers, at least the players, did not, show him love, especially you think about Nick Bosa and his ability to rush the passer. And it's kind of like, in a way, maybe passing the torch, if you will, because we see what Nick Bosa can do out there. He's tremendous with leverage. He's another guy who is definitely a freak of nature when it comes to rushing the passer. I'm sure there's going to be photo ops between the two of them tomorrow. Probably a little bragging too, since both of these guys came from Big Ten schools. J.J. Watt at Wisconsin, and of course Nick Bosa at the Ohio State University. But nonetheless, it's a scenario where J.J. Watt is going out on his terms. And that's a very important thing to a pro athlete. You look at him, he's done so much in the game. Then on top of that, you know, again, like I mentioned earlier, having to have your heart shocked a couple of months ago, that's definitely an eye opener. And then becoming a father and just, putting all of those things into context. So now he's established and he's left his legacy on the gridiron. Now it's time for the next chapter of his life to be with his wife and his child and go on with that aspect. But nonetheless, JJ Watt was one of the best to have done it from his era, regardless of the position. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.